Today on Nova Legends podcast, our special snow edition of our coaches panel, we're gonna talk about what's going on in the local basketball scene from the coaches' point of view. Obviously, we're all snowed in here, and we're anxious to see at all whether or not we'll play some games this week. Doesn't look promising. But with me today from West Potomac is Davey Howson, West Springfield grad. Obviously, has won lots of district championships and got to a state tournament or two in his long span at West Potomac. Doug Craig from Woodson. Doug won a state championship 2017, I believe, coach. Got to the final last year. Great team. Gave South Lakes a good battle, and they're off to a good start this year. And Coach Carlos Poindexter from Hayfield. Coach played at Hayfield as well. Won two state titles, and slowly building in that very tough national district that this year is more balanced than it has in the past. So actually, I'm sure Coach has been enjoying that a little bit. Has to coach every night, guys. And will be joining us as Desmond, Mike Desmond, South Lakes, and Sherman Rivers. Guys, good to see you. Thanks for doing this.
Hey,
Yes,
Julian,
sir.
thanks for having us on.
Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Well, quickly, guys, what do you guys in your crystal ball? What do you guys see happening this week, and how's it going to affect the season? I was talking about offline, the Cactocton district up here in Region 4 in Loudon. There's only 4 teams in the district. They have not played at all in the district, so they have 6 games to make up 3 times 2. So this could really affect them. But what do you guys see happening with the schedules with the snow? Who wants to go
Probably,
first?
probably chaos.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we were talking a bit offline, and there's so many things that go into it now with making up games. That you follow the discussion online on the Facebook group and things like that, and people, oh, but back in my day they didn't do this, but there's a lot more things at play now than used to be. I know in FCPS, which we're all 3 of us are coaches, we have the religious holiday calendar where there are a lot of no play dates now during the winter for religious holidays that aren't necessarily what would have been celebrated 15, 20 years ago, that are no play dates now for us. We cannot play on those days because certain kids can't participate. And that's a level of, it removes a whole bunch of dates from makeups. I know during the district tournaments this year, that's one of the things we had to accommodate for in the Patriot was there is a religious holiday of 2 days, I think, right in the middle of district tournament week that there can be no games. So these are things that are now under consideration that never were in the past, and it makes rescheduling games a lot more difficult than they used to be.
Yeah. Guys, Mike Desmond, coach of the 2-time defending state champion South Lakes, has just joined us as well. Coach, we're just talking about what the weather can do to the schedule as we approach the postseason. Coach Howson, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, what Doug said is spot on, and I think we still have the added issue of we don't have a lot of referees, so we still have everybody's trying to make a game up. So it's not like where it's just one district's trying to make a game up or another, but we're all in the same situation. So to find enough referees. I could see several years back. I mean, we did some 2-man crews, in order to try to get the stuff spread out. I know some referees enjoy that more. I think, Julian, you might be a bit on the side of the 2-man crew more.
Absolutely.
And I am too when it's an A and an A or an A and a B 2-man crew. But I mean, we have that issue to deal with, and and then there's no telling, what some parts of the county. I mean, I live in Lorton, and then there's people out in Herndon and Reston. I mean, we're completely opposite each other, and it could be the weather out there completely different. So I hope we get a chance to get in and get the practices on Wednesday. That'd be great. We play Thursday. Supposed to play Thursday in our league, and I think some of the other leagues play Friday. So we hope to get it in.
Well, see, yesterday my daughter got stuck down. She walked down to the end of Lansdowne to do some sledding, and she needed a ride home. I'm like, well, this is a tough day to need a ride home. So anyway, when I went to go get her, the HOA had cleared out our neighborhood, but we touch on the Riverside school grounds, and they hadn't plowed, so cars were stuck in that little circle by the Riverside school. So because they hadn't done anything, if that freezes, they're going to need some tractors to get that snow out. That's not going to be regular snow removal. So I mean, Loudon does a great job with that, but it'll be interesting to see if able to get these schools up and going by Thursday or Friday. I don't know. Carlos, what's on your mind?
So that's I was thinking about that. What's the schedule for this week? Are they out of school Wednesday? Are they in school? That's what I don't know. Doug, do
Loudon,
you know?
they haven't
Or
announced. I don't
Des,
know
do
about
y'all
you
know?
guys.
Are
Yeah.
they like if snow wasn't an issue, are they in school on Wednesday?
So I believe for Fairfax, the quarter ends this week, so they have an hour delay, something like that, or a 2 hour early dismissal
Mhm.
for Wednesday, anyways. So they
Okay.
weren't in school Thursday or Friday, regardless.
So they're
Mm,
not in school Thursday and Friday. Got you.
that makes it easier if you just have to worry about events. You don't have to make a rule that applies to school and also to after school events.
Yeah, and
Listen,
I know they're also up against it too, right? Teachers need to finalize grades because the VHSL semester eligibility mark is, I think, Friday or maybe Tuesday next week. So FCPS, and I'm sure all the school systems are up against that deadline for finalizing. There's an eligibility mark in the middle of our season for players. They have to be eligible at the semester mark, and that is also a concern with if we're out, for an extended period of time, is you have to then be careful if a kid plays because the school district extends the eligibility deadline, but the VHSL has a hard deadline. Then you have to be careful about if you play a kid who ends up being ineligible, you could have to forfeit games. So there's a lot of logistics that go. This is a tough week to be having a snow event. That's for sure.
well, I want to say the last time we had snow that affected the schedule, and I could be wrong, COVID season, I think. I think the end of the COVID regular season or whatever, there was some snow that came, and I know for my end, we ended up not playing um, the Liberty when I was in Liberty. None of us played the last game because it didn't affect seeding. I don't know if that's something they'll look at if we have to move some games around. If there's no seeding affected, do you play it? I don't know. I mean, I remember when Julian was around and Carlos was like 6, and I think Dave was in college and Doug was up in PA. The blizzard of '96, we didn't go to school or play games for like 2 weeks, and then when we came back, it was like an NBA schedule: play a night, off a night, play a night, oh, play Saturday now, just to get everything in that had been missed in like a 5 day span.
I kind
Yeah,
of
we did
remember.
that in snow.
Go
We did
ahead.
that in Snowmageddon. But I think what Doug said earlier, that is eliminated now with these no play dates of religious days. So back then, I mean, even just 5 years ago, honestly, I don't think we had nearly as many no play religious dates, Snowmageddon time, and going back to, COVID time. So going back to, 12, 13, 14 years ago, we definitely didn't have all those days. We would have got them in, try to get them in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but we definitely have. It's in 2 weeks. There's a Tuesday, Wednesday no play date. February what is that, like 9th or something week, something like that.
I
We
wish they
can't
would have
play.
moved Monday's games to Saturday, yesterday or 2 days ago. When they before he
Yeah,
came.
yeah, they could have because it was a very light schedule. There was only a 4 game schedule that day.
Yeah, we actually explored doing that with Fairfax tonight. Tonight's Monday, so Monday night game. We were trying to move that to Saturday, I believe as late as Friday last week or Thursday, Friday last week, but they just on that short of notice, it was hard to get officials there on a Saturday. We were trying to go Saturday afternoon with that game. Um, but they just, again, this is a problem Davey alluded to earlier. There's so many, they have such a shortage of officials. They don't have enough guys in order to accommodate, moving games. I would imagine it's tough. You got some guys who can't work on certain days and things like that. So another layer of things everybody thinks is so easy, but we were also talking about offline. Like last year, we just didn't make up some games. Like we just didn't play them. And they seeded based on first time through the district and things like that. Um, you see a lot more of that now than I remember when I started coaching 20 years ago, where they would do whatever. I mean, we would play 4 games of 4 nights to make up games. There's less of a stomach to do that now. It seems like we just cancel games and go with what we had. So it's another change due to a lot of outside factors that I think the average person just wouldn't even think about worrying about. But it's a reality in today's educational world.
One year, I don't remember when it was. I don't know if I was a kid or it was when I was refereeing, but they actually gave special dispensation to have Sunday games, and they had some state quarterfinal regional games on a Sunday just to.
We
That's
played
how
we played a district championship game 2016. Played West Springfield on a Sunday
on Sunday. Yeah.
in 2016. It was yeah, a bunch of snow had happened, and we had to get permission by the state. The game was at South County. It was boys and girls. West Springfield played against us. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the last time I can remember a Sunday event, and that definitely was 2016.
No, exactly right. Well, guys, you mentioned the semester being over. Do we expect any surprises this year of players showing up in new schools? Are any rumors out there? And if you don't want to say who the person is, are there rumors of transfer portal issues this January?
I heard
Oh,
Doug Craig
kids
got a
coming in.
jump on it.
Yeah, kids coming in.
Oh, I haven't heard anything.
No, I
Me
heard- I
personally,
heard-
I haven't.
I heard Doug Craig, because that proposed rule about open enrollment's coming, he actually moved 7 kids in to a address, and he is driving it, picking them up, and he's going to wait to debut them until he plays Dave again. They're all 7 foot, Dave. All of them. They can dribble and shoot.
Well, look, Coach or Mike or anyone else, if they were going to transfer, does that usually happen the first day of the second semester? If you're going to get some transfers?
First day, yeah,
Mhm.
something like that.
I don't know. Ask these other guys.
Yeah,
I
Hey, you
never
got,
had
hey,
it.
you had got
I love
one in
experience.
last year, right?
I don't know,
would assume
Dave.
if somebody's moving in,
This semester?
if you want to you'd look at the amount of games to play, I would assume. I mean, I think out in Loudon, guys were doing that a couple of years ago, right? They were moving in
Yeah.
right before the playoffs. So they played like 2 or 3 games and then playoffs, something like that.
Oh yeah. Oh, same thing with the Potomac kid. That Potomac kid.
Yep.
So our transfer last year happened mid-January, so it wasn't like this late.
Oh, it wasn't
year.
a semester.
Nah, it wasn't near the semester.
I feel like it's a more PW thing. I feel like every so many years, like the kid that left PBI or John Paul the Great or whatever and showed up for Potomac's playoff run, or
Yeah,
Oswald
Everton.
Clark or something like that. Like, I feel like it's a Prince William thing that seems to happen more prevalently than Fairfax.
Yeah.
But who
Some of
knows?
the other part of it is the private schools have their deadlines of when they got to pay.
Yeah.
And some of that experience coincides with right before the semester. And then you also have the maximum amount of games that kids can play to be even eligible. And so private schools, they play so many more games than we do. In public, so that you got to add the 2 of them up. So if private schools play, they can get up 40 games, right? I think our maximum is 30. So some kids leave so that they don't get to that max also. So all those are variables, I think. But I haven't heard anybody. We had a kid talk about coming to my school, but he'll be ineligible as soon as he steps on campus. So I mean, just the advice kids are still getting to leave and move and stuff is still just outrageous to me.
It's hard to hide 7-footers, Dave.
Seems that way, yeah.
So cool. Well, let's go around and just get an update of where you guys are. I don't think we've talked since mid-December, maybe early December, maybe around Christmas. But just talk about where you are. Are you happy where you are? You're in the depths of district play. So a lot of the answers that you're hoping to receive at the beginning of the season, you should probably have most of them by now. If not, those questions will never be answered. Why don't we start with you, Carlos? Where are you guys? Are you happy where you are?
Am I happy? I don't know if I'm happy because we lost our first district game in who knows how many years, but I'm satisfied where we are. I feel like we're still growing as a team. I think our kids are still steadily getting better, still trying to figure out, from game to game, still trying to figure out who they are as individuals and as coming together as a team. So, I think that we're on the right path. I think that even like the game that we lost to Edison, we were up pretty much the whole, or at the end of the third quarter, we were up 42-41. It was a back and forth game, and they just made two more plays than we did, and that's pretty much how the game ended. So it just is what it is when it came to that. Shout out to them for getting that W. I didn't know that they was going to have water showers and make it a state championship game type feel, but it is what it is.
I love that I just joined off of that one.
more fuel to the fire when it comes to that. And if they end up going with the first, if everybody just goes with the first round of games, like we'll still be a 1 seed. So like they'll still have to come to us in order to win the championship if that does go down. So just because they lost to Justice and they lost to Mount Vernon. So I'm happy where we are. Long-winded way to say that.
Hey, Carlos, Coach, you guys have the same postseason structure as last year in terms of districts?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Also, how I know Christian Tow's doing great, and I'm hearing good things about Carmichael. Any other kids emerge this year?
I mean, I'll say, a kid named Grant Cage. He's doing very well off the
Is he
bench.
Parker's brother?
Yeah, Parker's brother. Yeah, he's the last of, I've had all 4 cages. He's the last one. He's doing really solid off the bench. Landon Judy, who started half our games last year, he's doing solid. He's been battling injuries pretty much all year, but he's been playing through it. And now he's starting to get a little bit more healthier. So it's good for that. And then who else? Chase Jackson, sophomore guard, he's doing solid. We got some guys that's doing solid. No one's has separated themselves though.
Yeah. I watched a little bit of the Edison game online. I was going to try to get there that night. That's fast becoming one of the best rivalries in the area. I mean, there was some energy in that gym.
Fast.
You could feel it on the internet feed.
Yeah, nah, it was definitely it was packed. It was a nice environment. Those environments you want your kids to play in. And even thinking about that, everybody that's on my team, none of them got meaningful minutes in the Edison rivalry before. So this was their first time playing in that environment and being the guy. So, it was a learning experience for them. So they had to go through that and understand. And I was asking a couple of kids, I was like, were y'all nervous? And some of them actually said, yeah. So it was interesting to hear that.
That's what it's all about when they're nervous. Well, great, Coach. Well, Coach Craig, Woodson, you guys, I don't know if you listened to the podcast yesterday, but you guys are one of the best teams I've seen all year. But I know you had some games that, like the Broad Run game, you weren't happy about, but that was a Saturday game, and I think those are a little bit different. But where are you compared to where you thought? I think on your best night, you guys can be very competitive.
Yeah, I think that's a loaded question. I don't think any coach is ever completely happy with where their team is. I think that's part of the gig. I think I think probably all the coaches up here would say, "Oh yeah, we could get better at this. We could do this better." And we're not where we need to be here, but I think that's also how coaches are, right? Like we're never completely satisfied with anything. That's probably why we do what we do. Um, yeah, I mean, I think there's some things we do well. I think we have a good team. I thought at the start of the year we had a chance to be a good team. I thought it would take some time, which it has, and there's still some times when our inexperience and our youth kind of shows up. Like, 7 of our top 9 minute getters are juniors and sophomores. So
Oh,
we
great.
play a lot of young guys. They're playing a lot of minutes. For most of them, really, other than Ryan Corallo, for all of our guys, it's the first time that they're playing meaningful minutes when the game is being decided. And I think there's been some times in the fourth quarter this year where, we don't execute well. Um, and we lack the discipline to come down and get good shots every time. I thought the broad run game was a really good example of that. I thought we played really well for 3 quarters. We were in that game. We had the lead in the third quarter. They put on a little run about the last minute and a half of the third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter, we came out and turned the ball over like 3 times in our first 4 possessions and didn't get stops, and all of a sudden the game was over. And we are prone to do that at times because I think for some of our guys, they don't understand the difference between being a good team and a great team. A great team really buckles down in those really important possessions and make sure they do things the right way. We still sometimes have breakdowns. We'll miss a box out. We'll have a turnover at a bad time. We'll take a bad shot because it's an easy shot. You come down one of those where you throw it to the wing and the kid will just jack up a 25-footer because that's an easy shot. But that's not winning basketball at the right times. And there's still times when we have to get better with that. But I think also that just comes with experience and playing in those situations. I mean, I have a point guard who's a junior, who's a very good player. But it's his first time closing out games. So, learning to go to the free throw line at the end of the game and make 2 free throws when you're up 3 with a minute 10 to go. We split a pair of free throws or we missed 2 free throws, and they go down and hit a shot, and then we're tied or we're behind. So these are just the little detail oriented stuff that we're still kind of working through. I think, we're capable of playing very well at times. We can go head to head with really good teams, but then we also have stretches where we kind of can't get out of our own way. And I think we're still trying to figure that out. And I don't, you could do some things in practice, and we've done some things in practice to try to help with that part of like thinking and playing at the same time. But really, there's no teacher quite like game experience for that. And we're what 16 games in, so for a lot of these guys, these are the first 16 games they've ever had to play stuff like that. So we are still figuring some things out, but we're getting better, I feel like, week to week, and that's what you want to see as a coach. Even though I don't think I'll ever be totally satisfied. We could win every game by 30 points. I'd find something to be upset about. That's just it's kind of how I am.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised about Corallo. I like the way he played last year. He's playing great. Very, very compact player. You know what he's
Yeah.
going to do. There's no surprises with him. I'm a little surprised how well Conklin's playing. I know him from the soccer field. I love soccer players that play basketball, like Matthew Leonard. I just feel like they have a great awareness from playing soccer, from playing both. So that
Yeah.
he surprised me a little bit how good he is. But just Stephen Marinick, or I hope I pronounced his
Mhm.
name right, Stephen. But I guess Sherman has a player who had a shooting night like him as well this year. But I mean, I was at the Potomac game. That's one of the greatest shooting performances I've seen. I think he had 11 3-pointers that day, Coach.
Yeah, we look back. We have records back to very reliable records back to 1999. He made 10. He was 10 out of 13 from three, and those are the most 3-pointers that we've had in a game since 1999. We think it's the most in school history. Obviously, we don't have records back previous to 1999 on individual game records like that, but I can't imagine with the way the game was played back, or 90s, 80s, and previous, that someone would have even shot 12 threes in a game. An
Except for Pete
individual.
Holbert. Pete Holbert would have.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. Did they have the 3-point
No,
line
they
back
didn't.
when he played? So yeah, Steve, listen, all those guys are very talented guys. They all have it. They're all good players. Corralo's been our most consistent guy. I think because he has that experience from last year. He played in big spots. He understands what to do. Conklin is a really good athlete. I mean, you wouldn't know that by looking at him. He don't really look it, but he's the son of two Division I athletes. Very
What number is
athletic.
that?
The point guard, number
Three?
three,
Three?
three with the curly hair. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
his
four's
yeah.
the other one, right? Four's the shooter.
Four's the taller one. Yeah, three's the point guard. His dad played football at William Mary. His mom played soccer at William and Mary. Like, this is pretty good bloodlines there. His older brother is a baseball kid, plays at Franklin Marshall. He played basketball as well for me. So this is a very good athletic family. Those kids are all very talented guys, and they're doing a good job. But there's areas of juniors games that just have to be rounded out, and that's just part of the process. And we're going through it a little bit. But I can't complain. We have really good kids. They work hard. They've really tried to take to coaching, and they put in the effort. So it's good to see them getting some reward out of this too.
And with Jeremy Marshall over there, they're finally getting some real coaching.
Yes,
This
it's
year.
true. He's going to be mad at you when you said that. Now. You
Of
know that.
course. I will hear from him half hour after I post this. So anyway, Coach, it's great. Good to see your team play so well, and best of luck the rest of the year. Let's go to Coach Houston. Coach, I've noticed a pattern with your teams. You tend to build and build and build, and by this time of year, usually you're all guns blazing. So where are you? Are you happy where you are? And are they playing West Potomac basketball?
Happy, I'm with Doug. I mean, it's hard to be super happy, and unless you're undefeated, and even so, it's still there's something to probably pick on. I'm proud of my program. Yeah, really at where we are right now. I'm just really proud of our program because several years ago, actually not, it was 4 years ago, I mentioned that I thought my senior class was the best senior class that I had ever had. And out of that senior class, we lost three of the top four players in that class have either transferred or gotten injured. And with and season-ending injuries type deal. And with the guys that we still have that have bought into what we do, bought into the program. We're 6-2 first round through. We lost two games, and the two games we lost in the league were very similar to what Doug was saying. So I don't have a bunch of lots of juniors. A couple of seniors I have are getting the first time like point guard experience, like all the way through. being the person to have to do it, have to hit those shots late, have to run your play, run your set, know when to score, when not, time to score, those things. So we made a few mistakes in a couple of our games against South County, 1-point game in the fourth quarter. We made a couple mistakes there. West Springfield, we had a 7-point lead in the fourth quarter, made some mistakes and 0 for 2 from the free throw line type deal and, get them back in. So I feel like, we're a couple of possessions away from being 1-8, but we're also a couple of possessions away from being 8-0. And so defensively, it's one of my better defensive teams. We're up against some of the best. We got records tracked of points per game allowed, and we're up against one of the best of all time, holding teams down defensively. But our issue is we go through lulls of not being able to score. And, that's what, from what I hear, that's not what Sherman has an issue with down there, but from the rest of us, I hear that there are lulls of not able to score, times, and that's a challenge. But for us, it just makes us pick our defense up a little bit better. I like I got 4 seniors that are Iverson Adamako, number 1, Javante Wanzer is my point guard, number 5. My big guy with the goggles, 24, Max Tuttle. I think these guys, they've dedicated their time to our program and gotten a lot better and improved. And then Keaton Hopper is kind of our main defensive guy. He's a 3-sport guy. And we have a lot of 2- and 3-sport guys that play for us now. So, and I've been playing for us for a while. So I'm, another go round in the conference. We've done a pretty good job at home. Going on the road is going to be a challenge. Getting some of these games. A lot of teams in our league are tall and long. Doug was talking about some of the guys that are, very athletic, but we've got some tall and long guys in our league and some tall bigs in our league. And we're not particularly tall. We're 6'4", kind of 6'3", 6'4" across the board, and then 6'1", 6-foot guards. So we just got to play tough. I think that's what we've been doing over the years, is trying to play tough, trying to be coachable, play defense. Rebounding and defense is tough in conference play. And so, we think that if we can do those things, we'll give ourselves a chance against everybody. And I think that we're a solid, we're going to be a tough out. I think we're going to be a tough out.
Hey, Coach, did your team grow differently if that one player that got hurt as the season began, the shooter, would this team have grown much differently than it's grown?
I can't speak on how it would grow, but I can speak on how we would have started and how we would have looked to be able to grow from there. So yeah, he was a leading scorer for us. He was also one of our best defensive players. So you take 2, positions away in one guy. He was our inbounds guy all year last year. For those of us that know how important that guy is to have. So yeah, we had to, and then I found out 3 weeks before the season that he wasn't going to be able to play. So yeah, I think we would have grown no matter what. I can't say that it would have been different, or we would have grown, but we would have looked differently. Yeah, significantly differently. I don't think we'd have the scoring woe issues that we're having. But it is what it is. It's part of the sport. I'm sad for him. He's a great kid. He's there every day. Just shout that out. He's at our practice every day. He's like the number 1 cheerleader on the bench, helping guys, talking guys through, talking scout reports from guys he remember from last year. So like for anybody that's going through an injury, my son is going through an injury now. I'm using, my own player as an example. Like Brendan Forte is a great example of, how to stay locked in with your team, even if you're not able to play and participate. So we'd be different, but we are. We got second half of the league, and then conference play, and then regionals. I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm sure you will, Coach. Well, Coach Rivers, good morning. Good to see you. I don't know how much snow you guys got out in Prince William. I've got a chance to see your team play twice this year live. I think I caught you online. It's a very different Patriot team. You guys score very easily. This team has an interesting vibe to it. Talk about where you are. Are you happy? I know you played some tough teams this year, and your conference isn't the strongest, but you're in a good place to get that bye that you desire every year.
I can't wait to bring that up with my conference bad. But anyways, I like our team. I've said this to y'all. I said it 2 years ago when everybody wanted to write us off about where we were and what we lost when Isaiah and Tay and those guys graduated. And, those guys scored a lot of points too. And, so, this is the result of having a lot of kids that lacked experience a year ago. that, took some lumps. And I'm saying that, um, with a grain of salt, like, because at the end of the day, we won 22 games and went to the state quarterfinals. So we're not talking about a group of kids that didn't have some success in winning the district or win the region. So they saw what it was like to be successful, but they didn't see what it was like to be dominant. And I think at times this year we have been pretty dominant in games, but also struggled at times when we played really talented teams and with, in Lansdowne and Westfield with our consistency. So, learning from games like that, trying to find consistent habits within the games that we're playing really well in. I know we're scoring a lot of points, but it wasn't long ago, and a lot of you guys remember from watching us in the fall 2 years ago where we were scoring 4.5 points against Edison. So this was a lot of work that these kids put in, a lot of work that our coaching staff put in with these kids. I can pretty much guarantee that no one last year was saying that Sean Madrigal was possibly the best shooter in the state of Virginia. And right now, I'm sorry, I don't see anybody being a better shooter than him. I just don't. He's already made 64 threes. He's shooting over 50% when everybody knows he's going to be the person to shoot the basketball. You brought up the game the other night where he made 11. He was 11 for 13 in that game. The week before, he was 9 for 16. So it's not something where it's just like crazy outputs that, like, where did this come from? He's been doing this the entire season. And just watching it, and it helps to have a point guard that is a willing passer, that is also someone that can go get his whenever he wants to, and Elijah Gaskins, who's around 80 some odd assists and only 20 turnovers for the season, but can also go get you 30 on any given night. And then you put that with the Noah Conrad, who's next to him as a senior, and then
Is that number
Jeremiah.
4?
Yeah,
I like that kid.
yeah, I mean, every year we have a guy that's kind of like the do-it-all guy. That's the Swiss Army knife, and that's him for us.
He's like Jay. He's like Jay from Mary Washington, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. With a little bit, he's not the same level of athlete as Jay is, but he's pretty close. But offensively, he's a little bit more skilled than what Jay was, so he's able to do a little bit more things with handling the basketball. Jeremiah Parrish Jr., our quote-unquote big guy, 6'4", 200 pounds. But he's also shooting 44% from three. These are kids last year that struggled at times when they were younger. Christian Cole, who just had 18 the other day, stepped in when we've been missing Kai Wilcox, who that's a name that you guys probably haven't heard, but he's still on our team. He's just been out with a long-term injury. He just started practice this past week. So we add another piece to a team that's, already having a good time of scoring the basketball. So I'm excited to see how he can get himself back ready for the playoff stretch. And I think that our bench, does a really good job of doing what they do. But, it's, my biggest thing when I talk to our team is that all that offensive stuff is really cute, but in the playoffs, games are in the 50s and 60s. So you got to get stops. You got to be able to, and I feel good about the fact that if we're in the half court, that we'll be able to score the basketball. That hasn't been an issue for us as far as going into those lows offensively, because we have different type of guys that fit and we share it. Guys aren't selfish, but I don't think that we've been locked in defensively as much as we have in the past, because we're able to score the ball at the rate that we're able to score it. So that's something that we got to get better at. This, like I said, we as coaches, we nitpick. We're talking about not playing defense. I think we're still only giving up about 56, 57 points a game. So, I really like our team. I like our team to be good enough to get to the last game, but it's a lot of stuff that has to happen for that to come about. And, hopefully we can be consistent in what we do for the rest of the regular season. And even with our district not being what it's been in the past and our region not being what it's been in the past, it's still, it's everybody else's championship game every time we seem to play them. So we get a different team on those nights.
Yeah, Coach, I would have described you as a defensive coach if someone asked me. And this team has a vibe about them that we can score so easy. I don't think we have to do quite as much as somebody. They have a vibe to them that they can score. They can outscore you. I can't.
Well, the fact you see it is what drives me crazy every day, because that's exactly, I feel like it's the mindset of these kids at times. And listen, I'm not mad at them, because you come out of a game, like you said, we talked about Sean the other day making 11 threes. What we didn't talk about was the fact that Elijah had 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists.
Mm-hmm.
So, these guys are putting up some pretty eye-popping numbers from high school kids in a 32-minute game. But, I'd still want them to know that defense is how you're going to end up winning things that matter. And, when we played those really talented teams in Westfield and Lansdowne, we didn't get stops when we need to get stops. We were able to go on runs and score the basketball. But if they score more than you, it doesn't matter how much you score.
That's right. Well, I'm sure you figure it out, Coach. So, well, it's a good update. Let's go to Coach Desmond. Coach, coming off a state title year, a great year, and back-to-back year. And, Jordan is doing his thing at Michigan State, but it's a completely different team. And you've had your moments this year. I thought you had a tremendous effort against Martinsville, a lot of us were watching online. But then, some of the games you've been up and down. I'm sure you don't mind me saying. Tell us a little bit about this team and where you are and where you think you may go.
Where we may go, I have no idea. And I think you're either good or you're young in sports, and very rarely are you both. Right now we're young. Okay, right now we're young. A ton of minutes are going to 2 sophomores and a freshman in the backcourts. 3 juniors getting a lot of time when they're healthy. We're playing a couple of seniors, great leader in one of them, and then another one that can score sometimes, because we can't score. There's still a line from my boy KP from some interview you did with him last year. We can't make a layup. We've had quarters where we didn't score, like legit didn't score in a quarter. And it became comical to me. We've had a couple halves where it looks like a freshman girls game. And what are you going to do? Sometimes you get the right shot. Sometimes you don't. This group has shown that when they do what they're asked to do, they can be successful. This group has shown that more often than not, they love to choose to do some other shit that we don't practice, other things that we have shown them, walked them through. It's been negative. And the record is whatever the record is. I will say this, and of course, Doug Craig will jump all over me about being controversial. I think this year, and you guys who have talked to me know how I feel about it, I think there's a handful of teams that are, and maybe how about less than a handful, that are actually good. I think there's a couple others that are good by default because of it. And I think everyone, when I say everyone, I'm throwing Southlake's in there. So keep it off your bulletin board, people. I'm not talking about your school. I'm talking about everybody, including us. I think everyone stinks. I think everyone's terrible. Other than, again, maybe X amount of teams. Well, we're whatever we are. We've only lost to 2 good teams. We lost to Westfield and Broad Run. That's it. We could easily be 0 and whatever or something and 2. And it's not so much as the possession, the closest of some of the possessions Dave was talking about. It's just overall, when you watch us do things that we teach them, wow, it works. And then you watch them do other things. Wow, that's not really smart. Why do we keep doing it? I think everyone is terrible. I think you say, oh, anyone can beat anyone outside of this upper tier group. And it's not because everyone's good. It's because everyone's that bad. And maybe teams are young. Maybe teams are just trying some older guys who have never got their opportunity before. Whatever it is. I think that there's less than a handful of teams that are legit good. I think there's a couple more teams that are default good because of the rest of us are just bad this year. For whatever reason. Young, inexperienced, me being a terrible coach, whatever you want to check that box.
All the above.
It's just how I feel. So with my group, we literally have tried several different ways to coach them. We tried to coach them as teams of the past. We've tried to sprinkle less coaching in. Hell, one game I just sat there and I said, fellas, you're going to do what you want to do anyways. So just go ahead and do it. And nothing has worked. Nothing has worked because they show moments of, wow, we could be really competitive and really good because we may be bad, but some nights we're just going to be not as bad as the other team. And then we do things where we just say, man, let's be really bad and do really terrible decisions, and it just hasn't worked out. Am I happy? No, I could be 55-0 and I'm not happy, but I'm also not disappointed
Yeah.
as far as I kind of thought this year was going to go this way and provide us a great opportunity to lose with a purpose to get better in the future. And Dave, I'm taking a page out of your book. Like Carlos said, some of these dudes are acting like this regular season game is the biggest win of their lives against us. Dave, I'm making a hit list. Thank you for what 2 or 3 years ago when you brought that up. When some of these coaches and teams are celebrating because you're beating possibly the worst South Lakes team in over a decade, good for you. It's maybe a sign of respect to my program, or maybe a reality of what your program's been. But those who have done extra and those who will do extra, when we're good again, I'm not going to forget.
Well, Coach. Speaking about good again, that's something.
I love that time, G, baby.
Yeah, I think you've been talking to Sherman too much.
There we go. We will not forget. I know what you did.
Yeah. So, Coach Desmond, first of all, you got some good pieces. As you know, I like your point guard Ramos. The big guy is going to be a nice player, the tall kid, and the blonde-haired kid is a battler. Do you find, obviously everyone's up for you because they want to beat you, but do you also find your kids have a confidence with being playing for South Lakes and being part of maybe a little part of that championship run, or is it more? Is it tougher? Is it tougher to be in that position, or can you free ride on some of that what you built the last 2 years?
Maybe relevantly, Carlos can most relate. Unfortunately for this group coming into the season, because they've only known winning at a high point, they thought they were going to put the jersey on, and all their deficiencies, all their lack of work ethic, all their lack of getting ready and putting the time in was going to magically disappear. And it didn't. So I think they had a false sense of comprehension and belief in what they were actually are as players, just because putting that South Lakes jersey on didn't give them 10 skill points. I think going through the ups and downs and some competitive losses, some silly losses, some wins that we should have lost, hopefully moving forward, the group that comes back next year will take the off season and realize they have to do more than just show up. And maybe the confidence of, all right, when I was a freshman or sophomore, I saw some really fantastic things. Now I'm a junior or senior. I would like to put myself in position in my team to experience those as well. But it doesn't happen November 11th through whatever your season is. They got to do more this off season than they've done before.
Yeah. Get kind of a false sense of security by being on the South Lakes in the South Lakes program. Well, I want to talk about this whole down year thing that Mike just mentioned. Do you guys believe in that? I mean, are there really down years, or these are high school kids where we're just falling into the trap of certain players graduated, and these players really are replacing the players that graduated. We just don't see it that way. Do you guys believe in down years? And if you do, is this a down year in the area?
I think we're actually in a real reality of a lot of the public school kids that left. I mean, there's a lot of public school kids that left.
That's true too. Yeah.
Good. And most of them would be seniors right now or juniors right now on most of our teams on this list here. And so, like I said, with my guys, we're down to, I mean, not down, definitely, I'm not going to say down to that. I need to stop saying that. We're not down to anything. I'm proud of the guys that I have that have stuck it out and are giving me their all. But talent-wise, they might not have been as talented as some of these other guys that left. And there are other schools that I'm looking at that too, that they're trying to make up for guys that left. And it's hard, it's hard to scheme. It's hard to create a scorer when a person mentally wasn't trying to be a scorer ever. It's hard to create a point guard that can get you in and doing all your stuff when that person was really a backup that could come in and get some minutes here and there. I think it's a byproduct, and I think the teams that didn't lose a lot of guys or I mean, I think you could see them as well. But we've had years before where there weren't like the most talented players, but that didn't, I don't think, take away from the competitiveness of it. And then just to get out of that, you're still likely getting the toughest team to come out of it. We don't have, I'm looking at no teams in our league are averaging like 70 points a game. And some years ago that in our league, we had teams that was at 65, 68 a game, maybe 70 a game. And everybody's in the 50s and the high 40s and stuff like that. So maybe somebody could say it's down. I mean, I think it's still competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, competitive.
It's competitive because everybody's down.
That's what I'm saying. Competitive is we can use that. But like you said, when everybody's down, and it's like said what Dave said is that there are a lot of kids that are supposed to be on these public school rosters aren't there. Everybody, I know you guys talk about us and how we're doing. We're missing three kids, two of them that started and the other one that could start from this team. And so for as good or as middle of the road or as bad as some teams are, you got to look at who's not there. And it's really difficult in the public school venue to deal with a kid you've expected to be something for you and then he's gone. Because now that elevates somebody that was below him for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So now you have to play someone who wasn't the same level as talent as the kid that's gone. So it's up to you to get that kid up to speed to still establish the same level of play that people are used to seeing and that you're used to playing at.
And Coach, this is happening at a higher level now than it has in years past. You think it's happening more often now?
I think it's cyclical. Like it happens every now and then. Like right. we had a couple years where a lot of the top talented kids weren't at private schools. It just is what it is. From about 22 to 24, a lot of those really super talented kids could have been gone and they weren't. I know Losa had a few of them. Mike obviously had a few. Everybody on this panel had some kids that were good enough to play at a private school that didn't go. I think this go round, especially this junior and senior class, these kids are looking at it like they had to deal with kind of seeing what happened with the recruiting of some of those other kids. And then you got the other people in their ear talking about you need to do this. And so they were like, we're just going to go ahead and jump the ship. Like the kid at, let's use one that's not even one of ours, the Riverside kid. He goes to Evergreen Christian. I'm sure he reclassed, and I think he went on a visit to, where was it? I seen recently, the Division I visit. But,
wow.
That's a kid that's 1,000-point scorer that's not playing at the high school he was at. And you can see the effect it has on that school. They go from winning 27 games to being a middle-of-the-road type of team because we're not built to lose that level of talented kids because it's public school. You coach who shows up. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, well, let me make sure I recruit this in case this kid's not here and then I have a replacement. It just doesn't work that way. So it's, it's that. And then listen, we can talk about that, but what we aren't talking about is there's a lot of bad basketball being played. Just a lot of really horrible basketball being played, and we can't blame kids for that. We can't blame them for that. You're in a situation now where a lot of times what happens is that the top, like the NBA game, trickles down into what we are. And in the past, it used to be inside out. Well, the NBA game has become everybody spread out. Let's shoot a bunch of threes. Well, those guys get paid to work on that 24 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? So when they're shooting 45% from three or 40, it's a lot better than this guy who's sitting there thinking he's supposed to shoot the same shots at 25%. And so what you're seeing is it's just really bad because it's a lot of bad shots being taken, a lot of just bad offensive stuff. People aren't playing with purposes. They're not running things to get certain things. So what you see is even the teams that aren't necessarily the level they've used to being at with like Doug and Dave, they run really good things and coach their kids to play the right way. So they're still going to have some success, even though when their talent level is down. Same thing with Los. As you've seen, Mike still being super competitive with his group, and it's not the same level of talented kids. And so when you lose that talent, and then you add in the fact that we have some some subpar coaching, it makes for a bad product. And so there's a lot of bad basketball going on out there, and people are masking it as like, oh, there's kids going to private school. No, coach the kids you got, figure it out, get them to play the right way, and then whatever happens, happens.
Coach Sherman, it's interesting that you say this because I understand the numbers behind shooting lots of threes. If you make 35%, you get higher offensive rebounds. So I kind of get it, but for a team, but I don't understand for the individual player. I don't get it. If I'm a player, I want to show different facets of my game. I can't tell you how many players I go out there and watch. All they think they need to do is shoot 3-pointers. So I get it. If a team
like I said, that's what they see on TV if they actually watch it. That's what their coach should do in AAU. That's what they're, that's what they work on when they go to their trainers.
It's a big mistake for a player to show that.
Right. So, I mean, everybody and their mother wanted to fuss about how Isaiah Vick should have been doing this and he's this, he's that when he was here. I wanted him to learn how to play where he was and then grow his game. So when it got to the point where he was good enough to do it, he could do it and it didn't look crazy. And so now you see him in college shooting a high percentage from three. I mean, it wasn't like we weren't asking him to shoot jump shots when he was in high school. He just wasn't ready for that. And so what you're saying is that a lot of people, just like, I'm not going to use a kid's name because I don't like embarrassing them too much anyway. But a kid on my team decided that he wanted to shoot a bunch of threes one game. He's shooting 14%. And it's like, you want to argue with me about whether that's open. Well, you're open for a reason. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that doesn't mean you need to shoot it, and that doesn't mean we need to shoot 10 more of those so we can make 2 of them. Like, those analytics don't work for this level of kids. It works up there, and I still don't like it, but it works. You know what I'm saying? Let's shoot 50 of them. Well, they might make 15 to 20. Well, if we shoot 40 and we make 5, that ain't good. So that's what you're seeing. And so you have that, and then, you couple in with the fact that I still think we need a shot clock. It would help a lot of things. It would fix a lot of problems. It would teach some of these people how to teach kids how to get the right type of shot without shooting bad ones, even though they think it would do the opposite with it being rushed. I think it just helps you learn how to navigate the game better. So
it makes the game more interesting for neutrals if you have a shot clock.
The only thing I hate about the 3-point shot is the one pass threes. Like, those are the most idiotic shots to take, and especially as soon as you get the ball, you play defense. Say you play versus Houston, right? You got to play defense for 45 seconds, and you come down and one pass shot 3, that plays into what they want to do.
That's all the momentum.
That's the stuff that drives me crazy as a coach.
I don't think a shot clock though will make a bad coach a smarter coach.
No,
that's all.
No, it'll make them stop coaching.
That quite possibly might happen, but it won't make them stop coaching in the middle. It won't make them stop coaching in the middle of the season.
Well, I mean, not in the middle of the season, but they'll go away eventually, which is what we need. We need better people in certain spots to help these kids learn how to play basketball better.
Yeah, to me, it's a development. When I used to coach for Charlie Thompson, I just coached the summer league one or 2 years, and I'd watch this practice. Sometimes I come home during the year just watching practice. They worked so much on the last 2 minutes of the quarter. They practice and practice and practice. And he was an amazing coach. The problem is when you're just doing those kind of things for the last 2 minutes of the quarter, it's great for the game. But I think the kids generally, we shouldn't wire kids for situations that much. I think it's better just the more possessions that we have in games, the better it is. Coach Thompson was brilliant at winning games and brilliant at developing players. But I just prefer to have more possessions because I think it's more situations for kids to have to think about.
Well, let me just say, I've seen some bad basketball that Sherman was talking about with regards to what you just said, though, Julian. That 32 minutes of the game, all right, can be played. 80% of it's played a certain way. But when you get down to the last 3 minutes of the game, you cannot play the last 3 minutes of the game the same way you played the first 29 minutes of the game, depending on up, down, obviously time to score. And I've seen some games, man, I couldn't tell. It was one of the NFHS situations where the clock wasn't working. Wasn't showing or something. I couldn't tell who was winning in the last 2.5 minutes of the game.
It's insane.
I couldn't tell, with the possessions. I was like, wait a minute, I think they're up.
And still shooting those same bad shots.
Yeah. And then quick shots and then transition, but it's 1:40 and you're throwing up a floater. And it's like, I didn't see any level of stop on the sideline from the coaches. So in that sense, I don't know if teams are being taught to just, get it up, get shots up no matter what. I had a situation in our game the other night where we took a lead, and we didn't need to score anymore, right? Like that's it. If my guy hit a three, it was a great three, and one of his teammates was like, "Yo, let's go, keep shooting." Nah, timeout. No, we're not going to keep shooting. No, actually, I need a 30. We're not going to keep shooting. We're going to, we worked on in the game situation, and we're now going to implement that part of the in the game situation into the game, separate from earlier in the game, just getting it and going and scoring and scoring. And I don't think that in the coaching world, I don't think there's enough coaching clinics that are being held by veteran coaches to explain to some of these young coaches the difference in the game and how you can extend the game, you can shorten the game. There's a bunch of stuff that you can do within the game from the sidelines, helping your teams learn and players learn how to play this actual game with or without a shot clock, right? I think you can teach it both ways. I think there's a lack of that going on right now. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a post by David West. I'm pretty sure I shared it with you, Los, and the other dudes in that group. But he was talking about like back then when we were younger. And I hate to sound like that because it makes you sound like an old dude that nobody wants to listen to. But you had guys that were in place to coach you that had really gone through something, had played at a certain level or coached for a long time and had an understanding or had to like pay their dues and get to where they are. And now, like you see it, like you feel like people just get jobs or start AAU programs or start training kids, and you don't know the type of message that they're sending them or the level of experience that they have to be able to give them this information. And so you just have all of these different voices now that aren't necessarily the right type of voices to help them learn how to be successful. And then, like you said, like you're in a game and your coaches, and let me protect the coaches a little bit. You're also this day and age, you're coaching egos more so than your coach's X's and O's. So now you're dealing with how sad is this kid going to be because you got on for taking a terrible shot, whether just letting him shoot the shot and dealing with whatever the fallout is. And you see that happening too, because you got to deal with whatever that kid's reaction is or his parents or everything else. I'm not saying me because I could care less, but it just that's a thing. And so you're seeing coaches not necessarily get on kids the same because of that environment now that we have where you just can't make them because they don't want to feel bad for something that they did that was really stupid.
I was at a game this year. I was sitting right behind one of the benches, and you had these parents all yelling at the refs they're within 10 feet of the refs, screaming at them, having these dialogues with the refs, yelling at the players, coaching their own kids. I mean, it's a wild scene. I'm like, this is not
wild.
What's
it's
that?
wild because they're not accountable. Because and like I said, in our freshman game the other day, I'm watching this. It's always interesting when you're at those because first of all, the basketball is freshman basketball. So let's be real about the level that it is at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's okay to watch, but it's not great. And so and then the coach who's usually a coach, it's not somebody that's necessarily a super basketball person. It's just the person that can be able to help you out and to supervise those kids after school. And hopefully they know some basketball stuff and you can help them along the way. So I got parents up in the stands yelling at this coach. Now, I think they've lost 1 or 2 games all season. And they're yelling at the coach because he didn't call a timeout when they thought he should call a timeout. And call timeout, coach your team. Now, this same family, their kid proceeded to lose an offensive rebound, miss a layup, and turn the ball over. And they didn't say one word. Not one word. Not one word. And I remember I looked over there and said, we're not going to talk now, huh? We just got and so it's like, it's this whole thing that's all mixed together that is hurting the game. And, but it helps, like you said, having, guys like us and other people that want to do it the right way to try to help them and to get them to go in the right direction. So,
yeah. Coach Craig, you want in here?
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said by everybody. Like a lot of the issues that we touch on, I don't think there's a silver bullet, for a lack of a better term, that's going to solve all the problems. It's complex. But in terms of going back to the original question, is the area down? when it comes to high school basketball, there are two things that I believe in that lead to good basketball, to good teams. Number one, guard play. You have to have guard play. As much as everybody talks about bigs and everybody comes in the gym, who's got the size, who's got the, it ultimately comes down to your guard play at the high school level. And frankly, in most levels of basketball, it comes down to your guard play. If you don't have guards that can
Yep.
get you in and out of your stuff, can execute, can get shots when you need it, can get the ball to the right people at the right time, it's really tough to be consistent and win a lot of games. The second thing I believe in, if all things are equal, the talent level is close, give me the team with the seniors because they tend to make some sacrifices that sometimes the younger guys are not willing because they know it's their last turn and they're trying to win. They've seen big moments and they've played in big spots before. And they understand sometimes the little detail things that have to be done in order to win a close game against another good team. Because you can win games against teams that aren't as good and not do those little things just because you have more talent at the high school level, especially at the public school level where nobody's recruiting players and the talent level, it ebbs and flows at every school. Some years you got a little bit more, some years you got a little bit less. That's just public school basketball. But if you have seniors, they tend to do the little detail orient, they'll get the box out. In the tough situation when the ball is a 50-50 ball, they'll dive on the floor for a loose ball that sometimes the younger guys just don't understand yet. And I think you got two things this year. Number one, I think you have a senior class that maybe isn't quite as talented as the last couple of senior classes have been, and that happens. That just happens. It's happened in the past. It will happen in the futures. But I think also you've got I look at the teams. There are a lot of young guards that are playing for the first time that have the ball in their hands. And I don't mean necessarily they're always young in class, but sometimes they're young in experience. Like, for example, Dave said he's got two senior guards, but they haven't been guys who have had the ball in their hands when the game's been on the line before. And so they're learning that process on the fly. I'm learning it with junior and sophomores handling the ball. Carlos has young guys handling the ball. He's got a freshman playing point guard. And the teams that are the most consistent, what do they have? Sherman's got senior guards. He's got a senior point guard who's an all-state kid last year who's seen every situation. Westfield has a starting point guard who's a senior who's a very good player. Lansetown, of course, has the coach's son, and that kid's an absolute stud, so you could throw that one out. But there are the better teams have veteran guard play that understands how to win and manage game situations. Sometimes it's not about making the winning play, it's about avoiding the losing play. And I think seniors and veteran guys understand how to do that. And it's not a surprise, last year, we were a team with very veteran guard play. I mean, I knew in the last 3 minutes of a close game, I knew exactly what Theo Burke was going to do. First of all, he would go to his line and make 85% of his free throws. Second of all, he's not going to turn the ball over in the last 2 minutes of a 1-point game. He's just going to get you into your stuff. He may not be the most talented guy, but he understands how to win games. And, I see a lot of young players handling the ball this year. I just do. There's a lot of juniors and sophomores running teams. And when you have that, I think sometimes you're going to have this up and down, ebb and flow kind of stuff. And I think this group of seniors isn't quite as strong as last year's group of seniors and the year before. And I thought I saw it this summer. I know Los and I were talking about this summer at some of the AAU events, that this year's this crop of seniors in the Northern Virginia, it's just in Fairfax County particularly. I can't speak for Prince William and Loudoun. I don't see those teams enough to know. It's just not quite as strong as last year's, and that's okay. Like, it happens. And then you throw on the situation where, like, Coach Houston, he's lost three significant guys. And by the way, all backcourt guys. One taller guard forward type, but a point guard, a two guard. I mean, that hurts. We can't go out like Sherman said and just go recruit guys and bring guys in, just replace them. Like, that's not how it works for us. So, I think you're seeing a little bit of a combination of those things. But I believe that, seniors and guard play wins. And when you have it, you tend to be pretty good. When you don't have it, it's a struggle.
Yeah. Well, Carlos, you want to get back in there?
I was just going to say, I just feel like the whole area, DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, just the whole product is just, it's in a rebuild type situation. I'll say that.
Wow.
Yeah, it really is.
Interesting.
Can you, can you
That's all I
say,
got to say.
Julian, look
Wow.
on TV. Look at the kids that are playing in college right now that were just in high school a year or two ago. They're extremely successful at a young age. That we're not just talking about our public school kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at the young man from Sidwell that's starting at Villanova. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talking about Nate Ament, how the game he had the other day. So these are all the type of kids. We see what Greg has been doing at American. We talked about the guys that I have from Mary Washington. They're ranked number 6 in the country. Isaiah is setting freshman records down at Wingate. Tay Barber starting at Harvard and averaging double figures. Like Trey Nelson has said, that he's made like it. Just we had a lot of really good, very high level college basketball players that were playing in that. I hate to say it's almost like a renaissance of how we got all the energy when we first kind of started doing this. We had super talented kids and very high level, very good teams. And so to look at it and be like, oh, it's just not as good. Well, these kids are good. You know what I'm saying? Now, are they those kids? Well, no, but that doesn't mean that they're still not good and there's not still good things that are happening out there. You can't tell me that you go to a Hayfield game and you see a 9th grade point guard doing the stuff he's doing. And you're like, man, that kid's really good. You know what I'm saying? Doug talked about me having seniors like these guys. He said juniors last year, we're having the same conversations about them. Inexperience, not doing these things, having to learn. Now look at them. I would take my backcourt against anyone. Like I said, the outlier of that is obviously what Dwight Robinson has down there with his son. He's a sophomore, but when you have a coach's son, you might as well give them a couple 2 years of experience because they've been around it so much, So it's not. I hate the way that we talk about it, and saying to kind of to down it, but we still got some really good players. They just might not be the level of kids that we had 2-3 years ago, and that's okay. But they're still really good in their own right. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of performances that have happened this year. Doug's kid obviously making the 10 threes in that game. The kid from Broad Run who had a really big game in that game. Like I said, the game that Sean had or what Elijah's doing or all of those things that are happening. The kid at Garfield, J.J. Bell kid, these are good players. You know what I'm saying? And are they Tay Barber? No. You know what I'm saying? Are they Isaiah Vick? No. Are they the guard that Doug had last year? No. You know what I'm saying? But are they any of the 5 kids that Los had on those teams? No. But it's okay because they are who they are. And then, like you said, we're getting what we're getting.
Yeah.
To piggyback on what Lowe said, I don't think it's just a public school problem. A lot of kids have left the DMV.
100%.
The Matha starting sophomore point guard left the Matha.
Correct. Seeing that
it's
is
not
just crazy.
Just us. It's not just the Northern Virginia public schools that it is listen, the game is changing a little bit in terms of kids are seeking out these. And listen, when I was 17, 18 years old, if somebody would have told me, hey, you can go to this school where you could take online classes for 2 hours a day. You only have to be in school for 2 hours a day. It's all on a computer. And then you go practice 3 times a day. Sign me up. I would have signed up for that as a 17-year-old kid, of course. Why would
As a 17-year-old kid, I just wanted to see girls all day in school. I didn't want to be online.
Play basketball all day and have free time and do my classes online. Sign me up. But I had parents that were like, no, you're not going to do that. You're going to go to school. But that's okay. It's a change.
Like I said, it's just a different environment. They look at it that way because, like you said, they've specialized so much. They probably worked out a bunch. They're trying to look at it like they're trying to, it's transactional. It's not so much for the love of it anymore. So they're not looking at I just want to have fun, be around my friends and be able to hoop. They're looking at I need to go somewhere that's going to help me get better. I mean, the kids that I had that left, one of them said, I get to work on my game more. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. One of the problems,
you know what I'm saying? It's just what they feel. And
one of the problems, though, Sherman, you mentioned this earlier. Yes, there are some kids that are doing well in college. Jordan Scott's one of them, Nate Ament.
Right, Jordan
Scott. But there's so many kids that are doing nothing in college. Absolutely not. And there's some parents that talk, and I hear them, and they criticize a Division I prospect or a Division I player and this and that. There is no awareness of what their own kid can do at all. They think if the kid works hard and they take personal training and they work out, all that stuff, they could be Division I or whatever.
Like I
So
said,
it doesn't matter. A Division I player, you could just see him when you look at him. It's
that's
really hard.
another problem that we're dealing with, is that everybody thinks that their kid's a college basketball player, and
It's not. That is there is a lack of awareness of what your
but it's
kid.
not just it's not just parents, it's coaches as well. You get to talking to coaches, and they say, "Well, that kid's a pro." Like, relax. Stop saying those things. It's okay that he's a really good player right now in high school, or like another coach that was critical of me, talking about it's about scholarships. Well, then you're failing 97% of the time, brother, because only 3% of kids are getting scholarships to go to school. So it's about giving them the proper tools to be successful in whatever they decide to do. And if it's basketball, great. And that is the objective of what we're trying to do. And the problem is, it became a hunt for scholarships when that's not something that's normal for everybody to get. It just isn't. And so that's why you have the transferring, the moving, the going all about that, because everybody's searching for their validation of all the work that they put in to be like, well, I got this out of it, instead of being like, let me do the best I can in this situation. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the fact that they had the freedom to transfer out for the most part, like they can, because I thought it was terrible how they would let coaches do whatever they want, and then kids had to go somewhere and sit. I didn't think that was fair. But at the same time, we've lost the grind that we used to have with kids and this profession, to be like, I got to get there. I got to get there. I got to get there. It's like, instead, it's a hustle of how can I figure out the easiest way to get what I want.
Yeah. But Coach Sherman, you mentioned Isaiah Vick. Desmond had a kid last year, Merrick.
Right.
We all have these kids. You could tell right away they're on the cusp. So those kids are different, because you could tell there are things that they can do to put themselves in a situation where they could be Division I. You can see it. But most of those kids,
the situation Merrick was in.
What's that?
Or the situation Merrick would have been in.
Exactly. But what I mean is, but most of the kids, you're looking at them, you're just like, that's just not going to make. Like Coach Craig had his kid Colin Morgan last year. Love this kid, great player. He's struggling to get on the court. But I think Coach said last time, but he's going to do fine. He works hard. He's a good player. That's the normal process. Good players have to struggle to play Division. What's that?
Yeah, where is he at?
He's at Framingham State in Massachusetts.
I mean, listen, but here's the thing that we're losing now, which is this society. He is a freshman. Yeah. He's not supposed to be playing. You know what I'm saying? And
especially at the Division III level, where it's an older level, where guys play for 4 years.
And that's the part that is killing it, is that they want it right now. And it's even like the kids you coaching, like they want it right now. Like, why can't I be this? And why am I not on varsity? And I can't believe this. Like, kids will be mad because you didn't pull them up from JV to the varsity team. Like, you were the 5th leading scorer on that team. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? It is the wildest thing watching it in live time and hearing the adults in live time talk about it. And it's like you said, and I'm not.
You said it earlier. It's a lack of. You said it earlier. It's a lack of awareness holistically, and then nobody's checking the people that are posting the freaking top 10 sites or the top 10 teams, or nobody's checking those people that are giving this bad information.
Right. And then on top of that, like, listen, not only that, like, we live in a content timeline now where everybody's got to put something out. Hey, listen, if you lost, I don't want to see a highlight video of your game, dog. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't get that. I don't understand it. I understand the kids making their own, because kids can't think past that. But I should not, after you lose a game, see a highlight video of said game for you the next day. That is insane. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing here? Like, and it's just that, like you said, even those type of things, like watching that, like, I use my own son as an example. He had a game on Saturday, GBA 8th grade, 3rd grade kids. It is what it is. Who cares who wins, right? We lose the game. I'm competitive. I wanted to win, but it is what it is. I don't care. He comes up to me and asks me how many points. And I said, you know what? I don't care. Yeah. I said, because we lost. And don't ever ask me that again after you lose a basketball game.
I don't watch highlight videos. I don't watch any highlight video. I don't care. I don't care. I'll watch the game. If someone sends me something in particular about something to watch, I don't watch any highlight videos because first of all, I'm not recruiting anybody, but I agree. It's irrelevant. Who cares? Anyone can have a highlight video. Anyone can have 6 or 7 good plays in a game. But if you're getting beat on defense, if you're not passing the ball, it really doesn't matter to me.
But the social media stuff has put a lot of pressure on these kids to perform. I had a kid come up to me earlier this year. One of my players in class, and he came up to me. He said, "Coach, did you know I'm the worst player in the Patriot district?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" Like, clearly this is a confidence issue. And he said, "No." He's like, "Some guy on Instagram posted a video of the 10 worst players in the Patriot district, and he ranked me as the worst player in the Patriot district."
That's horrible. That's
He,
What?
he and this, yeah, this is a kid. This is a kid who was on my team last year as a junior, did not play a lot. He's a senior
That's
this year. He's
crazy.
a role player. He gets on the floor some. And I said, well, I can assure you, you're not the worst player in the Patriot district. And he's like, well, they said it. And I'm like, this is some kid who posted something on Instagram that these other kids are seeing, and his friends are making fun of him, and he's got people chanting at him at the games. And I'm like, this is insane.
I saw
Like,
a video where they ranking the worst high schools
yeah.
in the state.
And I'm pretty sure
And
that
the
guy
only
has
reason
not
why I
seen every
saw
high
it
school
because
play.
one of them was Osborne, and it had Tay Barber in the picture. So of course the kids sent it in a group message, like, but that, like, for him, who's a kid who's really good, it don't matter for him. He's gonna be all right. But that sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's one thing for us to say it and we can talk about it, but like you said, the social media makes it like it's right in your face. Like
And
Dave
this
said,
is
all these rankings. Who made these? Who voted on this?
Can
Who's the
we
person that chose these things?
and
Mike,
can
you
we
trying?
cut to the can we cut to the truth of the social media stuff though? I had a kid not too long ago. His parents were very concerned that we weren't doing enough social media for the kid, highlights and bullshit. And I said, you know how many college coaches look at that? Zero. They're gonna ask me for a game.
I had a kid transfer from me to go to another school because the mom said that I didn't put his stuff on social media and I didn't say happy birthday to the boy on social media. Listen to that.
She
That's
did
not
not
even
say
a lie.
that. The
She
happy
said I didn't
birthday is
post happy
crazy.
birthday to the boy on social media. So he ended up transferring.
Good. Good. You don't want a
Possibly
kid like that.
legally or illegally, whatever. It was a major transfer too, major.
but
And the whole idea was about social media with the mom and that I didn't post his stuff and a birthday message on social media. So yeah, it's a real, like, it
A
is a
birthday
real
message on
thing.
social media is crazy.
Crazy.
So it's insane, right? We think this stuff is insane, but this is what people who are on the outside, who are not with these kids all the time, don't understand. You hear people on this, oh, well, back in the 80s, we didn't do. Yeah, you also didn't have to deal with this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
The
but I
kind
don't
of
believe in.
pressure that
I'm
these
sorry.
kids are under from the outside that they think is important because they cannot. It was a time when we were growing up, right? If you had a kid who was not nice to you in school, you went home and you got away from that kid. They never get away from it now. It is always in their face every moment of every day on
That's
social
a
media.
choice.
Yeah, but the kids today don't think, Mike, it's a choice for us because we didn't grow up with it. These kids grew up immersed in this culture. So
So
they think this
yeah,
is normal.
I don't think it is a choice that they almost have. If like, it's a double-edged sword. Like, if you want to be a collegiate athlete, you do have to have a social media presence and then put yourself out there to these college coaches. You certainly do. But then that certainly opens up the opportunity for every morning you wake up and there's notifications. You're looking,
Yep.
and there's positive and negative stuff. The bar stools are going wild with different schools.
That's why
So
we're
like,
having problems at games with fights and stuff like that. It all starts online.
correct.
It all starts online with the talking between the kids online and the insults and the tear down culture that we have and
I mean, those barstool accounts, like, it's insane, dog. Like,
there's a lot of stuff that
some of the
people.
stuff that's posted on those, I'm like, I don't even know how these things are allowed, man.
A
Like,
lot
The
of
funny
stuff.
thing is, and Carlos and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago. When we used to fight, we were kids, and I tried hard not to get in a fight. But your boys would try to end it. You wouldn't. Nowadays, I feel like they get in a fight and they just keep going.
They keep going, yeah, right.
Back when we were young,
they want to instigate it to be able to
your
push something.
friends would save you if you're getting beat, but they would not let it go out of hand. It wouldn't go past a certain point. I feel like now it's like a performance, and
The,
this thing is going to go on forever.
It's the
Yeah.
trolling coach. The culture of trolling online is different now. And, this is people who are not involved with young people now, don't understand the kind of stress and pressure this puts on young people that they have to deal with that nobody ever had to deal with in the
Yeah,
60s,
these are
70s, 80s.
non-educators, Doug, that
Yes.
are not having to deal with those of us that are in the classroom, and we see the kids that aren't even athletes that are stressed out over the most ridiculous things. And then now you add that I have a couple players in my class too this year. That you add in the athletic part and then
Yes.
the school part, and yeah, absolutely, these are people that it's a different era. They don't know the pressure that some of the kids are dealing with. But we can't shelter them from everything. And
Nope.
the one thing that I've recognized that a lot of my players have parents. I mean, everybody don't have two, but they got a parent. I have my own kids. I got to kind of worry about my own kids in the sense
Yeah.
of how I can't shelter them, but I can teach them the things I need to teach them. I'll teach our players the stuff in the program that I need to teach them to be the most successful kids they can be. But at the end of the day, they do leave us after practice and they go home and somebody makes them dinner, somebody buys them clothes, somebody does all that stuff. They buy them the phone, they allow them to have the Instagram or the X account. Or all that stuff. And then once we see them again, we do the best that we can. And we don't have them 24 hours a day to try to shelter them and tell them every single thing. So, I think us coaches have a hard job because we're trying to sprinkle stuff into these kids for a lifetime, but we only have them for a few hours when you think about it compared to the handlers, the AAU, the other people that are sending them messages after the game. I saw a kid that got messages sent him after the game. The kid had 7 turnovers, JV game, 7 turnovers. And a message that somebody sent him like, great game, you should have shot more. Like, oh, you should have had less than 7 turnovers. It's a JV game. Like, what are we talking about? So it is a hard job that I don't think when we talk about holistically, people aren't aware. They're not aware of everything that we're having to do. Yeah, it's not aware.
Well, guys, let's go through the districts real quickly. Just get an update on who teams that you think are competitive. Teams look toward as we go towards postseason, and also players that have emerged. Let's start with Concord. Mike, I think you've been around. You've played everyone once. How do you think it's going to shake out? As Centerville looks like they're emerging, Westfield looks like they're as good as advertised at the beginning.
I mean, this is going to be short. Westfield's good and everyone sucks.
Oh, come on, Mike. Give us more than that. Centerville's playing better lately, right?
Are they, or are they just beating the rest of us who are bad?
Right. How about?
I mean,
yeah.
I think Westfield
Oakland's pretty good.
has kind of gone through this. Maybe they've been disinterested at times. They've had to change their lineup a little bit. I think they're a group of kids who've been through a lot in experience, and they're probably just ready for the playoffs to come. Centerville's won some games. Oakland's won some games. Chantilly's won some games. We figured out how not to lose all our games, and all the Rollers games have been close except for Westfield. I think Westfield's got the most talent, and the rest of us could beat each other because we're all that bad.
Yeah. I think Westfield's kind of like Patriot. When very good teams, it's hard to put the foot on the accelerator.
I don't think they're as deep as Patriot.
What's that?
I don't think they're as deep as Patriot.
Right, but what I mean is, it's hard to put your foot on the accelerator the whole season. When you're playing teams you're better than. I think that's fair. Anyone else want to chime in on the Concord? I saw Oakland play in person. I was impressed. They got a real athletic kid in the middle. What's that?
I would say that, and I've told Dave Brooks
having a good year.
I've said this to Dave Brooks' face. He's one of the teams that I think is good by default.
Okay. All right.
They're better than us.
I knew what Mike was trying to say. It's like you said, we use the word good a little bit too loosely when we're talking about kids and hyping them up. Like, it's okay for some.
But this season, they're having a good season.
Yeah, they are. And they are. But when we're like, I feel like what he's trying to say, if I had to guess, Mike, is that we're talking about who we think can win something.
Yeah.
I saw them
they beat Woodbridge by 30 the night I was there. I was impressed.
But they're having a good season.
They are. He's a good coach. You know what I'm saying?
They're having a great season. Dave has the opportunity to lose to Westfield 4 times, which is fantastic. And he gets to the state tournament to get on a bus and get stopped by Lansdowne. That's a great season. Sign me up. If you told me that right now, South Lakes, you're going to lose to Westfield 4 times. You're going to drive 4 hours to have Lansdowne beat you by 80. Sign me up. That's a great season.
Well, give me some players that have emerged.
Before we even do that, who do you think, honestly, I know you're going to talk about the other district, because you just talked about Oakton, but the other district is with McLean and Yorktown. That's different, correct?
Yeah,
Correct.
that's
Also,
Liberty.
so who like that? That's their region. Am I right about
Yeah,
that?
Correct.
those two districts are the region.
So who
Northern
do you
region.
think's going to get to the championship?
Okay, hold on. Before we get there, we're going to get there next. But
Okay,
any other players you want to shout
I
out?
wanna-
No, we'll get to that. I just want to. Any other players you want to shout out in the Concord? Nope. All right, let's go to Liberty, Sherman,
I'm
and
gonna say something about the Westfield team though. The what's the little guard name?
Stemberger.
Stemberger. I feel like Stemberger is like the whole key to that particular team.
He's a great true point guard.
when he's playing that way.
I like their team.
Early on, he was trying to score.
Sherman, I felt like their big guy was shooting too much against you, and I wanted to see the other guys, Isaiah and
Price.
Jamon shoot, and the big guy was shooting.
The big guy shoots it every time he touches it. You know what I'm saying?
I want to see the other guys a little bit shoot the ball more.
Well, I would have rather him shoot it more than the Price kid in that game because Price had 32, so he wasn't shooting enough to take away shots from that kid. So, I think like
That
like
guard,
Nick
he don't turn the ball over much.
No,
Like,
like you said, he's
that's-
super experienced.
You
Like,
think
it's,
about
like,
Timber-
he
it's what
reminds me,
Doug
like
talked about. He's an
how
experienced.
Doug had
He's your key. He's your key to
Theo.
the ball.
It's like that same situation. They don't
Doug
turn the
talked
ball
about
over.
This experienced guard that's been playing high school basketball for a while. There's nothing he hasn't seen from that standpoint, and he's got dogs around him to make plays for him on top of that.
I think Carlos, you're still talking about Stemberger, right, Carlos?
Yeah.
I think you're right, but I also think Isaiah and Zay and
Nah, you take
Jamon-
Stenberger out, it's gonna be a one-on-one show, and
Absolutely.
it creates a different environment.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
That's how I feel. But
I love the kid Malachi Lee. He got a nice body,
Oh,
real
dog.
calm on him. But
He might be the most athletic kid for his height.
yeah,
He reminds me maybe, and it's a harsh comparison maybe, but Dave, the Mackey Jr. kid, was a freak athlete for his height too.
Mm,
well, I can see that. Yeah.
I like that kid. So, okay, well, let's go to Liberty, and I believe there's a scramble up top because McLean had struggled early in the season, but then they won the first 5 district games. But now it appears Yorktown to me is clearly the top team, but Marshall, as always, is very tough.
It's
And
like
then
a 3-way tie or something like that.
What's that?
I think
It's like a 3-way tie, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
If
That's
you
a
had to pick who's the best one,
I would say Yorktown.
I think healthy Yorktown is
Yeah.
because of experience and size or whatever. I think that's a district where, honest to God, it would not shock me if another team pulls an O'Brien and goes on a Cinderella run and wins the district tournament.
Washington Liberty.
And they were supposed to be so great this year, and they're struggling. There's so much parity in that district
Mhm.
that it's going to come down to, okay, who's senior guards, as Doug said, especially in the Liberty. I think, Doug, you pointed this out in previous shows. The Liberty district, when you have a senior dominated perimeter backcourt type teams, usually have the most success.
Yeah.
but I mean, Tony's been having success against those teams too, hasn't he?
Yeah, they've all traded.
Sherman,
They've traded wins and losses.
everybody's bad, brother.
I mean, I agree with you, but that's the one I haven't seen. Like I saw Marshall play just because they played independent, so I got to see that film. So, but I hadn't seen Yorktown McLean, and I was saying, see McLean at one point was 5-9 and in first place in the district. So it's a lot of things just don't make any sense. I mean, Forest Park lost to Woodbridge by 30 the other day.
They lost to
I
Riverside
haven't
too.
seen McLean play in a couple years, but Marshall do what Marshall do. They execute the hell out of their game plan. They try to get timely turnovers in order for them to get, they can do a little bit of traveling here and there. They do a good job over there, but I still think that Yorktown is the best team over there.
So you think it'll be
if
Yorktown?
Jake is healthy, but I heard Jake has not been healthy all year.
No, he hasn't.
The point guard.
Yep, he's not that healthy. Both knees have been bothering him, but he's feeling better now. If
So
get
they might get upset.
They could, but if they can get Jake 90%, they got Sam Russa, good swing man. They have a big guy named Jack, 6'5" guy. They're legit.
Yeah, he's good. The Jack kid is pretty solid.
He's pretty solid. He's solid. And then
I said it earlier, Julian, point guards go down, and that changes the whole landscape of your scouting report and of your everything, because it's hard to make a 2 into a 1 in the playoffs, and keep you into running your stuff and it not looking like a ridiculous one-on-one mess. Yeah. And when point guards aren't healthy, that's
or you don't have one.
Or you don't have one.
You know?
Marshall has another kid. I always talk about Trey Leonardo, and he's doing great. They have another kid at guard, averages like 13 or 14. I can't think of his name. Solid player.
I don't know names. I know numbers.
Yeah, I don't know the names.
So
All
anyway,
those
I think Marshall, Yorktown, and Oakton will compete for that spot.
The other spot.
I think so. Yeah. But, yeah, we'll see. Okay, let's go to national. Carlos, Carlos, I think you said something to me when you first heard that Justice had beaten Edison. We all were shocked. I mean, Justice beat Edison this year, and I got so many messages that day. Is Justice pretty good?
Better. Like the coach is doing. I feel like that coach is doing a hell of a job over there with them. He actually, like, they're able to compete now. Like before, it didn't matter.
I've seen them all back. At least it's true.
Like they're running stuff, they're playing defense. Like they're not just sitting back in the 2-3 zone. Like they're actually playing man. They're trying to guard, no middle. So like from a scheme standpoint, I feel like that coach is doing a hell of a job. And they got a very good guard, number 2. I don't know his name, but number 2 is he's gonna be a first team all district guard. Like we have to trap him, and like we have to take the ball out of his hands just so that we can have some success on the defensive side of the basketball. Wow. So Justice is doing a lot better, and whatever happened in that Edison game, I didn't watch the game, but
I watched the game yesterday.
Okay, but
I didn't think the score was accurate. And then they beat them.
Yeah.
Well, Mount Vernon's better too, right, Coach?
Mount Vernon's definitely better. They got O'Neill, who's probably the best player in our district. Outside of playing versus Houston and the second go around versus Annandale, like he's been dominating the games. Westport did a very good job on him. And then the second go around, Annandale actually did a pretty good job on Mount Vernon as well. But he's been, he's the key to their team. You do that and you take away a couple of threes from the little guard, you'll be fine. But they're a better team. But I don't know how well they'll do in the regional tournament just because, the Patriot District has bigs. Like we don't have bigs like that, and the Patriot District is very tall, long, and athletic. So they have other bodies that can go versus that kid. But but Mount Vernon's doing well. They're doing better this year. Annandale, when Patriot, the point guard, he's back healthy. He's been playing back the last 2 or 3 games, and they've been winning their games. Except for versus Marshall. I think they got smacked versus Marshall. I don't know if Patriot played or not. And then, Edison. Edison, when healthy, they're a solid basketball team. They got a sophomore wing, number 0, Jahad, that's coming into his own. And then you got the Nesbitt kid, number 25, the lefty point guard. He's doing extremely well as well. Yeah. So you got them. I think that's like our top 4.
Right. Thanks, Coach. Anyone else want to chime in on national?
Paul's Church got guard number 32. I don't know his name either, but
Steph Snyder.
Steph Snyder.
Yeah.
I think is he a senior?
Senior. Yep. You're seeing a theme here.
He's pretty good.
Guards. Senior guards that can get you into your stuff, can help with a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, but let's go to Patriot and the Patriot Conference. One thing I'd say right away, Coach Craig, is South County. We thought they were going to be great this year. I saw them against Broad Run, and Broad Run just dismantled them. But they beat you guys. They've had their moments this year. How good is South County?
I'll let the Patriot District talk.
Dave, you wanna have your first stab at it today, or you want me to go first?
I mean, the hate that I get from them is ridiculous, and I live in the area. But I had never thought great from the beginning of the year. And I heard people throwing that out. I mean, we lost to them, and I think they had 39 points, and it was like 33, 39. We struggled to score. Mike said about missing layups. Like, I think, I got guys, sometimes I go about 5 for 13 in the layup line. We struggle to score, and they struggle to score too. Like we defended them pretty well, and a lot of the points they got were off of live ball turnovers. Like we just threw it in, and now it's 2-on-1 or 2-on-none break. So 5 versus 5, I think it's going to be a struggle down the stretch if teams start to half court them. But they have a lot of athletes. They got 17 players in the team over there. They got a bench full of guys that come in and can and run and foul you really hard. And if they don't call it, they get the ball and they go. I mean, it's not a stupid strategy, really. I mean, you're putting the pressure on the referees. You
Right.
get right in somebody's face. I mean, that guy that was rubbing sweat in our guys' face and taking shirt. Like, I mean, you got to use all the tactics you use. And if the referees don't say anything, don't call it, and then that's fine. But they have good athletes that can certainly get the ball, make a layup, and score. No question about that. I think our league, you know, there's a bunch of us, sitting at the same spot. And I think if we're able to play all of our last, what do we got left? 6 games, Doug? Six. If we're able to play all of our last 6 games, I could see a bunch of 3-3s. Teams going 3-3 in those. I don't necessarily think I see anybody going 6-0 down. I'd like to say we're going to go 6-0 down the stretch here, but I mean, we're averaging like 48 points a game. So, I don't think that there's any one dominant team, in our league. And I don't think that South County is it. I don't think that we're it. I don't think necessarily that Woodson's it. I don't think that Braddock or Fairfax is. I think we have a bunch of teams that it's going to come down to the fourth quarter and making some solid plays and, adjustments.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Doug, what about you? What's your point of
Yeah,
view?
I would agree with that. I think with South County, very good defensive team, very physical team. Got athletes and size. I agree. I think Mike Robinson would tell you they don't score the ball easily. Now I think they're kind of constructed to play playoff basketball where the game slows down naturally anyway, and the games become lower scoring, especially like district tournament and sometimes regionals when you're seeing teams for the third, fourth time. Let's be honest, not many of those games turn out to be, 75-70 because the games slow down and teams are familiar with each other. So I think they're kind of constructed to play playoff basketball. I think in a lot of ways, Dave's teams are constructed to play playoff basketball. They're physical. They play defense. They don't beat themselves. They execute their things. They will get after you. They'll win 50-50 balls, those kinds of things. So in a lot of ways, I think South County is built that way. But yeah, I don't think like I think in our district this year, there's no really dominant teams. We've had a string of really, really good teams at the top, but I don't feel it's that way. I think there's some good teams in our league, and I think there's some parity. But I would agree. I don't think there's a team that's like you look at and be like, okay, obviously that team is going to be there in the state semifinals at the end of the year. It's one of the five, six, seven teams in the state that have a chance to win it. I don't know if we have a team like that this year. I will say that a team that has surprised me, and I don't think anybody had picked is West Springfield being 6-2 in our league. I think Terry Henderson has done a great job down there with those guys this year. They play a lot of seniors. Again, the theme, a lot of seniors. Those kids have played a lot of minutes before. They've been in the fire. They maybe didn't win a lot of games the last couple of years, but they've been on the floor when it's been mattered. They and the Isaiah, is it Isaiah or Isaac Heaton kid, the two guard, number 11, has really, or is it 11 or 3? I don't know. I'm terrible.
I love
But
it.
11, he's kind of emerged for them as a go-to scoring guy. He seems to be playing with a lot of confidence, making big shots, taking big shots, kind of coming up with winning type play. There's sometimes the guys they're not the best players, but they're winning players. He strikes me as one of those kind of guys. He doesn't seem to be afraid of the big moment, taking the big shot. He's kind of emerged as a guy who I've been kind of surprised. I would have never pegged him at the start of the season, be like, this is a kid who's going to be an all district, all region kind of guy. But he's having one of those kind of years, and their confidence, they're playing with a lot of confidence, and they seem to all complement each other. They don't seem to battle for like billing with each other. They seem to all play their roles and play it well. I think they've surprised me as an emergent, and they're doing a really good job playing well. Dave's team is going to be there at the end. They always are. I think Lake Braddock is still a really good, another senior laden team and their big kid is obviously a horse. He's a really good player.
How good are they, Doug? Like Braddock.
The big kid's really, really good, and they got
Like
a
you,
smart.
right?
Yeah, Nate McComb. He's really good.
Made the
I've
all
seen them
big.
play.
the one
We
that made the
played.
All-Star team up at Capitol Hoops.
Yes. He could put it on the floor. He could shoot it a bit. He could play make a
Yeah, he
bit.
can play.
They also have a junior guard, Brooke Antenna, that shoots the absolute crap out of the ball. So if you double the big and really gear you, he hits open threes. And then they have seniors around those guys who just play their roles and can do certain things. They got a lot of those kids have been playing since they were freshmen and sophomores, and now they're seniors and they're experienced and they know how to win big games. So I think there's, all five of those teams are all solid. I think we're a solid team. I don't know if there's a team that you're like, okay, they're going to be playing in the state final, but I think there's some good teams in there that will battle and will be tough outs come playoff time.
Yeah.
I think we're back. Julian, I heard you and Chris talking. Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day
It
before.
was yesterday. Yeah.
And asked about our conference. So we're back to 1-827-3645.
You are?
Yes.
And so everybody, but we are sending 6 to the regionals. So you got the playback game situations.
Yes.
The 4 teams that win are going to move on. The 4 teams that lose will play each other. Will play, 2 games, and the 2 teams that lose those will be out. And then the 2 teams that win, so that's going to make our 6 teams to send to the regional tournament. And I think that's how the National had been doing it, if I'm not mistaken, had been doing it 1-827. But I don't think there was ever like an upset that needed to have had a playback or something like that.
For the life of me, I still don't understand why we all don't do the same thing.
I love the playback. I love the playback and having to play your way into the regional tournament with 6 teams.
Listen, I love it too.
Yeah.
I think that's how it should be.
The coaches pushed for that in our league.
Well, we
don't
only take
understand
the
why
top
the state,
4.
I agree, Sherman. I don't understand why the state just doesn't say, all right, each
Mandated,
district
yeah.
you have to do a version of that. Like, of course,
I
we
just
don't have
I don't get it.
18s.
Right. I just don't understand it. Like I said, for our district tournament, we only take 4. We're only taking 4. And
The only thing I don't like about that, Sherman, is that I heard a couple of years ago, some teams got eliminated early. Like, you can tell, like, you're not, I guess with 3 games left to go, you're not going to make the playoffs.
I don't like it. Listen, I'll say this, okay? Who's in last place in ours? Do I want to play another game against Unity Reed in the first round of the district tournament? Not necessarily, but at the same time, for those kids that play there, they get an opportunity to play in a playoff game. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, like you said, I don't know why you just don't do an all-in district tournament, play it out. And then, like you said, the play-in game after that, instead of like, well, we already pre-drew the straws for who goes in, like, play the game. So our 4th seed I don't even know what it is this year. That's the bad part. I couldn't even answer the question if I had to. Our 4th seed will probably have to play whoever the loser is of the 2-3 game to see who gets in. But I think last year they didn't play a game. They just had already drew straws before that, and whoever was higher on the list just went. And that's insane to me. I don't understand why we all don't just do the same thing.
I like deciding it on the floor.
I agree.
Let the leaves,
but the ADs and the powers that be don't, because it's more work and them having to get referees and do all of that. They won't say it out loud, but that's exactly what it is.
It is a tournament sport at the end of the day.
Playoffs, right? Playoffs. You got to play.
You got to.
Play.
So for the regional tournament in our region, does the 1 seed get that first round bye, or is it playing one?
Yes, because it's still a 12-team regional tournament. That hasn't changed.
12 teams? Okay.
Yes,
it's
just
that,
the district tournament.
The region doesn't change. The way
you go into the district, I see what you're saying.
Region, that changed. Okay. Used to send them differently. Me and Doug last year, we had the double bye to the semis, and then by finishing 1st and 2nd. Now, I do like the reward of the regular season. It's hard to go and finish 1st or 2nd in the regular season.
Longevity.
Like you guys have a 12-in regional tournament.
Yes.
Yeah.
So listen, our region is by far the largest at 19 teams, and we take 8. You know what I'm saying?
You guys don't even it out, Sherman. Like, I don't think it's because you guys have 3 districts that turn it into that, right?
So we take 3 from Cardinal, 3 from
no matter what.
Well, that makes sense, right? That makes sense. So you said we take 3 from Cardinal, 3 from us, and then 2 from Stafford. And we'll get off on a tangent talking about the logistics and where teams should be at. So I don't want to do that. But the fact that we have a 19-team region, I think, is insane too. Because
It's not fair. And then, like I said, in Loudon, there's some 9-team regions
like
up here.
why is Independence in our region? They should be with Mike and them.
Exactly.
Well, and then you got the region A, right, in 6A, where the beach teams and the Richmond teams, that's like a 9-team region, isn't it? It's not very many
9.
teams.
It's literally 9. Like one person doesn't make their regional tournament.
Yeah.
And it's so you take those Stafford teams, they're down there, take them, put them in region A, and then you even it out a little bit more so their region makes sense. I don't understand it. I don't know who's having these conversations, who's talking about it, and they can't tell me it's travel because it takes us an hour plus to get to Stafford. So I don't want to hear it. You know
I
what I'm
guess
saying?
Stafford to Virginia Beach would be what? 2.5, 3?
I mean,
I don't even know.
but like I said, someone's got to travel somewhere, and like I said, we're talking about the farthest that they would have to go.
Mm-hmm.
If they just got to go to Richmond, it's no different than them driving to Patriot.
Well, the other option with that, with a region with a lot of travel like that, is you go neutral floors, you go halfway.
There you go.
We'll
Both teams travel an
There's
hour.
a lot of simple solutions to this problem that no one's talking about.
But then you're going to have to open up high schools that aren't necessarily in those games, and that's what.
Like I said,
play on Saturday. Play on Saturday.
It comes down to things that ADs are willing to do and what they're not willing to do at this point, because it's possible.
Well, I don't want to totally blame the ADs because our district had a district tournament format that the coaches and the ADs talked about, and then the principals overruled it and changed the days that we were playing because they didn't want to bring in APs to cover games, as you know, they have to have an administrator present on a Monday on what is that, President's Day holiday.
When I say like the ADs, what they're willing to do, I'm talking about those type of things. It's why we don't do double headers down this way anymore, or on our side. I think no one said this for sure, but it's a logistical nightmare. You have to schedule your sub-level games on a different day of the week. That means more buses that you have to get, which means more travel. You're now sitting there and they're arguing about whether or not you should have the freshman and JV game right after each other or split it with the girls game in the middle. So now you got coaches complaining because they don't want to sit and watch a girls game. They just want to watch their 2 sub-level teams play. It's so much that instead of them doing it, they're like, you know what? I'm good.
Well, guys, let's get to Prince William County, Stafford as well. I know I see the run, and obviously Patriots in firm control. And I know Independence is in second with Patriot with Battlefield ahead of Gainesville, which I think is a little bit of a surprise. I know Garfield in the Cardinal has been strong this year, only lost 1 game, and I know the Massaponics leads in the Commonwealth. Sherman, what do you think about the region? And obviously, you're in firm control of your district. But what is it looking like as we move towards the regional tournament?
Well, Massaponics won't matter because they're Division 5. So
that's right.
You have to look for the next 6 team that's in that list of teams.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
I'll talk about the Cardinal first. That's another district where everybody can beat everybody. The level, like you wouldn't necessarily look at those teams and think they're at the level that they've been at. Even with Garfield as good as they've been and only losing the one game that they've lost to was to Forest Park. Forest Park lost to Potomac by double digits, then turned around and beat them the next time. Potomac lost twice to Garfield, but I just told you they beat Forest Park. And then Forest Park turns around and loses to the 4th place team in Woodbridge by 30-plus points on Friday night. So there's not like I said, even Colgan is giving teams some trouble over there. Potomac beat them by 5. And it's just one of those things where their district, you would love to see an all-in district tournament because anybody can beat anybody, in my opinion. Maybe outside of like we can say Hilton would be the one team that be like, all right, they're probably not going to get the top teams. But, so it's a lot of, competitiveness from the lack of, like I said, everybody being a little bit down. And, I'm sure they'll hear this and take offense to it, but I don't care. But it is what it is.
Top 4 only also?
You know what's bad, Dave? I couldn't even answer that question for you. That's why, like the fact I can't answer it from district to district in our own area is why I feel like it's insane. So I think so, but I don't know that for sure. Obviously it's been a lot going on and we'll see how that finishes up. our district clearly hasn't been the strength that has been in the past, but once again, it's still been competitive. I think Independence is the second best team for sure. The Purple guys coach has done a really good job with them. They shoot a ton of threes. And if they're making them, it is really scary because they are very good shooters. When they played against the Pretty Birds from down the street, they beat them by 3. I want to say it was like 56-53. So, it's just their kids really play hard. I think from a talent perspective, I think that Gainesville has the most talent out of those 3 teams that we're talking about. So, they got guys that can go get their own. They can score the basketball, and a couple guards that they got that it came over this year. So, and then listen, Osborne's better. They played on the Purple team tough. They played the Birdies tough. They compete. They really go hard at it, and they got a really good coach now there with them. OP is improved. They're better. They have a really good freshman guard there that's been playing well. I think that won a game at the buzzer the other day.
Good player.
And then Unity is Unity, and unfortunately, it's not a whole lot to talk about as far as success there. But they're competing, and that's all you can ask your kids in those situations. So, I like our chances again to do it again, and I like making everybody else disappointed by doing it again. So,
and piss people off for what you say on the podcast.
I mean, listen, people don't like the truth. It is what it is. I'm not.
So, anyone else want to chime in on Prince William teams?
I mean, I think with Garfield, obviously, I mean, maybe they're not, on Sherm's level, but what 16-1 is 16-1, and what they've done, with the 2 coaches' sons, and it seems like they got a whole bunch of seniors around them, kind of buy into their roles, and that's kind of special what's going on down there, because that's a program that's struggled a bit recently. I know Andy Gray's been gone a long time now, but obviously they're having a really nice season, and Potomac's still Potomac. They certainly look the part getting off the bus. They got long athletic guys. And then
Problem is guard play, I think, right now. Yeah.
Yeah, Forest Park plays really super hard. I always feel like Mac gets them to really compete really hard, and they're scrappy. Their guards are young and energetic, and they play with a lot of energy. So, that district kind of reminds me a little bit of our district, Dave. Is just that there's a lot of level at the top. But obviously, I think you have to acknowledge what Garfield's doing, whether or not you believe that they're going
100%.
to win the state title or anything. But
they're gonna keep doing that because the kids are junior and sophomore.
Sophomore, right?
Yeah, the sophomore and junior.
I
And
saw
the juniors.
there's another one coming. I heard there's
There's
an
not a
eighth
shot.
grader.
They're
No,
not
there
allowed
is.
to
There is
take-
another one coming. There is.
Yeah, I heard the 8th grader, but there's definitely I've seen them play a couple times. They are allowed to take whatever shot.
They take a lot.
I'm glad you said it, because if whatever shot presents itself, even when it doesn't, they're going to shoot that ball. And all the rest of the kids fit in where they fit in, and listen, when you got 2 talented guards, Doug has said it already, when you have really good guard play, you can deal with a lot of different things. And when those guys got it going, it's hard to deal with.
And a lot of his
I'll
other
say
guys.
this though about
I think the younger
Garfield.
brother's a little better.
The two games I watched them versus South County, and I watched them versus Potomac the other day. And in both of those games, the older brother got into foul trouble, and they were able to still keep the lead. And that tells me that they're more than just those 2. They're the head of the snake, but they're more like those other role players are doing a hell of a job of keeping that lead for those teams. And those are 2. I feel like two solid teams.
Correct me if I'm
So
wrong. The role players on that team, a lot of those kids are football kids.
The
quarterback and the linebacker, right? Those kids are really good athletes and competitive kids who've won in another sport and probably provide that leadership. And basketball is their second sport. They love playing. Yeah, I mean,
That's true.
that multi-sport kids in public schools can still make a big difference if they're good athletes and they're wired the right way in their secondary sport. They can really be pluses.
And they're less
they're
likely to
tough
transfer
out.
if they
They're
play 2
tough out,
sports.
Garfield.
I think they're less likely to transfer if they're multi-sport
True.
Correct.
players. Well, guys, this has been great. I also say, Potomac's been good in basketball for generations. In football was freedom. Eastern Prince William has been much more balanced in football and basketball the last year or two, which is cool. It's cool to see that. Not just the Potomac show or the Freedom show. But look, guys, this has been great. After 2 hours, my thing cuts off. But thanks for doing this on a snow day. Great content as always. And some of you guys, I don't think I've got to your games this year, but I'll make sure I'll get there before the year's out. But appreciate all you do.
Thank you for having us.
All right, guys.
Jay, having us.
Take care, man. All right.
Appreciate